Pandora's box is about to open wide.
Welcome to Pandora's box, ladies and gentlemen. For today's show, should we give ourselves? Should we all just for some reason pretend that we're one of the many people that have played James Bond? Who's your favourite James Bond actor, Drew?
I would say that's Sean Connery.
Drew would have to be Sean Connery, wouldn't he? Because of the Scottish relation.
And he lived next
What
door.
about
to
you?
my
I think the
grandfather.
only ones that have come out since...
Oh yeah, he actually did, didn't he?
That's mental.
I remember him telling us that. And that's actually documented on the pod that we did with Tommy as well, isn't it? He talks about that a little bit, I think, on the pod that we did with him. Where Pandora's Box meets the
in
Armstrongs. Check
Edinburgh.
that out on YouTube or Spotify if you want to check that one out. Which Bond would?
I think the only one I've ever watched is Daniel Craig movies.
That's so Bullwinkle, isn't it? That's so Bullwinkle. Oh, I can only watch the ones that have come out since I've been alive. Do you know what? Before I even said, I knew you'd be Daniel Craig. I just knew it.
The only one I knew, man.
I just knew it. Right, I'm gonna be Timothy Dalton. Timothy
Who's
Dalton.
that?
He was only in 2 movies, but he was such a cool Bond. He was in A View to a Kill and License to Kill. He likes killing.
Who was Octopussy?
Roger Moore. He was, in my opinion, the worst
What about
Bond.
Pierce Brosnan?
Because his Bond was like a bit. Pierce Brosnan, I reckon, was a good Bond.
Me too.
But I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like he started off ridiculously strong. Because I think GoldenEye, which was Pierce Brosnan's first Bond movie, is one of the best Bond movies
And
of
one
all
of the
time.
best games.
But I feel like it was, oh man, GoldenEye for the N64. I would put that in one of the best games of all time.
Yeah, man. It's
One of the best
definitely
games of all time, man. Legendary game. Before Call of Duty, there was GoldenEye. You know, like how people say that GoldenEye, like Call of Duty, like people that love shoot 'em ups, basically.
Man, it was the GOAT game.
Man.
So good.
It was like the first one that was almost, almost perfectly in that format of just like first person shooter running around, just like with like grenades and guns and man, so good. But Roger Moore was almost like the campest, silliest Bond. I feel like the Roger Moore movies were like borderline a bit like Austin Powers. Do you know what I mean? But like Austin Powers is the thing is though, like Austin Powers is meant to be silly. It's meant to be a comedy. So the fact that the Roger Moore Bond movies were like actually just like that is almost like a bit comical. So I think it was really good that there was almost like a bit of a return to form. Like after Roger Moore left, no disrespect to Roger Moore, respect to him as a man, but like as a Bond, just wasn't personally hitting it for me.
Did you ever watch those Rowan Atkinson parody James Bond movies?
No.
Johnny English.
Oh, I've heard of them. Yeah, I've heard of them, but I
Quite
haven't
funny.
seen them. Yeah, I can imagine they're pretty funny, man. He's a good comedian, isn't he? He's a very, very smart man as well, Rowan Atkinson. But yeah, I think after Roger Moore, I think they deliberately wanted to go back to like a much more serious hard edge. And they got a guy who was only in 1 movie. What was his name? He was known for being he was more of like a stunt man in real life.
Evil Knievel.
Yeah, it was Evil Knievel, mate. No, he was like a stunt man, but he was an actor as well. But he was he had a really illustrious career as a stunt man, and they wanted him because he was almost could do all of his own stunts, and he was a very sort of no nonsense guy. And I think he was the one before Timothy Dalton. I'm just for some reason I can't remember his name now. My Uncle Don would be so annoyed that I can't remember who he is. He's my uncle. Yeah, because he was my Uncle Dom's favourite Bond, even though he was only. I think it was maybe he was the Bond on His Majesty's Secret Service. Potentially. If one of you can find out who was the Bond on His Majesty's Secret Service.
George Lazenby?
George Lazenby. Yeah, that's it. George Lazenby. And then they had George Lazenby, and he was really good. But I think there was he was supposed to be doing loads more movies, but then there was for some reason, they had a bit of they couldn't come to an agreement, basically. They wanted him to do lots of movies, but I think he said
money.
He wanted to do I don't know if it was so much that or he wanted to have the freedom to do other stuff as well. When they were like, no, if you're going to sign this contract, you basically for the next 8 years of your life, you're just doing Bond stuff. And he was like, nah, okay. Which in hindsight, maybe you regret it because I feel like he's probably one of I reckon he's probably the least famous Bond. But he was really well received, so he could have potentially been one of the biggest ones. But then they went to Timothy Dalton. I think it was A View to a Kill. Was that right? Was that Timothy Dalton's first one?
Trying to find out, man.
Just type in Timothy Dalton Bond movies.
License to Kill?
Yeah, that was his last one, and there was one before. Was that A View to a Kill?
The Living Daylights.
Oh, The Living Daylights. Right, Living Daylights.
Those are the
was
two I
first
can see.
one. Right, yeah, Living Daylights was his first one then, and then License to Kill. To me, I reckon they're two of the best Bond movies as well. Two of the best Bond movies, man.
Oh yeah, I recognise him.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, he was like a really like no nonsense Bond. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't like it was very like straight to the point. You know, it was like the movies were like very fast paced, very action packed, lots of murkage, just like straight up murkage. You know, not too many like smiles and frills in that movie.
87 and 89. Oh, good time to be alive.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Those are two great movies. Check them out. If you haven't seen those Bond movies, I really highly recommend. Man, check out the Timothy Dalton Bonds. Man.
I liked Skyfall.
No, I don't even know why I asked you, fair, because Skyfall is a great movie.
It's a good movie, man. Really good movie.
It's just funny because it's almost like you're being a caricature of yourself. See, I say Skyfall is great.
Really good movie.
I went to the cinema actually to see that with Dom. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
Good
I was
song,
going to
too.
say great song. Isn't it crazy, like how there's that Bond sound to soundtracks? Like there's that chord progression that's like instantaneously Bond. Like if you try to use that on another kind of song, people would just think it's a Bond song or it's a rip-off of a Bond song. And I don't even know what it is. It's something about the chord progression that's like that got that Bondy kind of sound.
Man, I reckon
There's
even
Bond chords, isn't there? There's like actual chords that are known as being like, oh, that's the
I think that's
James
what I'm
Bond
talking
chord.
about.
Like
Yeah,
it's in all the songs.
the progression.
Oh, what? So like so like even though they obviously completely changed the melody, they use the same. Is it like an unwritten rule that you have to use the same chords for every like?
It's a sound
every,
of
like,
chords
song
changing,
written.
so like a progression of it, and it's what they use in and it's typically Bond-esque. So I think it's almost like if someone else tried to do that chord progression, it would sound like a Bond track, even different melody as well. I think it's to do with the progression rather than the melody anyway.
For a laugh, I might look up the Bond progression and come up and then write my own Bond song.
That'd be so good.
The iconic James
That'd just be
Bond
quite like a
chord
fun little
progression.
project. What are the chords, man?
It's like E minor to E minor with a flat sixth.
Okay.
Or a C major in first inversion, then back to E minor. So
Nice. No nonsense.
Yeah.
Like a little bit happy with the C,
but
then back to no nonsense for the E minor. Yeah.
the flat
No
sixth.
nonsense, little bit
weird.
happy. No. Yeah, man. Yeah, let's do it. Let's write our own Bond track.
Hell
That'd be
yeah.
real good. So for today's pod, I'm Timothy Dalton. You're Daniel Craig, and you're Sean Connery, all right?
I'm James.
Sean, no.
Wait, no.
No, because that's confusing.
James
Because otherwise we're all James. I'm Tim.
Yeah.
You're Dan.
I'm Dan.
Danny boy.
Danny.
Shawnee over
Danny
there.
C.
Shawnee. Not to be confused.
I feel like I've got the cooler
Full immersion.
out of all of yours.
Sean Connery. Yeah. I like it. You're going full immersion, man. You're like actually trying to like speak like him and everything.
Are we not doing that?
Quite. I mean, we could try.
I don't even know where to start with Daniel Craig, to be
Oh,
honest.
that's cool. No, if we don't have to do that, that's way easier. I was thinking.
I mean, you can just. I reckon.
I reckon you should do it,
I reckon
man.
you should do it.
Yeah.
Even if me and Bull, I'm just trying to think. Timothy Dalton. The reason why it's quite hard with Timothy Dalton is, I almost feel like to really grab an accent, there has to be something that really especially sticks out about that accent. Do you know what I mean? That's why it's quite easy to do like Australian and stuff. But with Timothy Dalton, it's almost like he had an English accent because he's English, but it's not particularly posh. But he hasn't got a regional accent either. So
Quite
it's
well
just
done,
like it's very hard to do. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm Timothy Dalton. I'm Timothy Dalton. All right,
That's it.
I'm Timothy Dalton. Yes, I'm Timothy Dalton. Have that, mate. I'm Timothy Dalton.
Boom.
So yeah, that's just a little fun little thing we can do today.
What does Daniel Craig sound like?
I'd say he's almost like similar, isn't he? I can hear his voice in my head. Not even just now, just always 24/7. Just
That's
he's
it.
speaking to me.
Hello.
Just
I'm
like a
Daniel Craig.
just
I'm
like,
Daniel Craig.
like your version book made him sound a bit simple. I'm Daniel Craig.
I'm Daniel Craig.
That was a bit like Plod. Plod the battle gnome from Forest of Glee. Yeah, he almost just sounds like a bit of an English gent, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? But like just a sound English gent.
Yeah.
You know? I'm not even going to try and do an impression because it's going to be real stupid.
Good stuff.
Anyway, we said last week that we talk a little bit about the new discoveries underneath the pyramid. So I've done some extra digging.
Oh yeah!
Apparently, there's a lot of controversy with it. Apparently, a lot of people are saying that because some people are literally saying that there's like an undiscovered city, actual city underneath the pyramid, whereas other people are saying like that's like pure wild speculation.
Poppycock.
Yeah, because apparently like the radar that has like been sent down, that's like picked up the massive cylinders and stuff. Apparently, it can't even go deep enough to like accurately see what's underneath them anyway. So they're like people. So they're basically saying that like people are getting very much ahead of themselves, and it's almost like a little bit like hysteria's kicked out about
it's mad. I actually watched a little bit about some of this morning. There's this guy called Robert Edward Grant, and I strongly advise checking him out. He's like awesome, and
is he related to Hugh Grant?
He looks a bit like it, actually. Yeah, it looks like it's like Hugh Grant's like
talking of English gentlemen,
Shakespearean brother or something. But he's American, so I don't know why I said Shakespeare. So he's got a weird little mustache that I can imagine like Shakespeare having.
Shakespearean. Yeah. Hi, I'm Shakespearean.
Yeah, he's insane, and he had this Egyptologist or this scientist on with him on his podcast that's actually working on the 2022 document that a lot of this stuff comes from. And he had him on there, and they were talking about it, and he was asking him to explain. And yeah, that was interesting about the radar technology. It only can go up to a meter or something actually down, but he was explaining how it actually picks up the stuff underneath, and it's to do with resonance. So like if something is like everything is moving at some level, but like everything has its own sound and its resonance. So the resonance actually reaching the surface, when it hits this radar, it gives an image of it, basically how they extrapolate the data from the radar and from so that's where they think it's, because I thought it was like LiDAR or something, but it's not. And it's this weird new technology. But he was explaining like how complicated it was.
Like echolocation.
Bullwinkle just said it almost sounds like echolocation, which is pretty accurate.
He was saying like, because he was explaining it like with music stuff, you know like with your song you've got like a waveform, and it's like a complex waveform, and it's all together as one thing. There's apparently some technology that can break the waveform down into separate parts. So like mix engineers and that, if they want to remove a specific frequency or like a specific sound, and I think there's like these AI things now that can take vocals out of like songs and stuff like that. They can break down the waveform into like smaller waveforms and call them something else, and basically like break them apart. And he was saying it's like this radar was getting bombarded by all of these like resonances, but it has to take that and then break it down into like this linear flat thing. So it's like complete new technology. So yeah, a lot of people are saying like it's got to have like more work, and you know, could it be this and could it be that? But
it'd be really interesting to see, like, once there some more work has been done. But I can give everyone like the basic facts. So researchers have found more than 650 meters beneath the pyramid of Khafre, who was obviously an Egyptian pharaoh. So Khafre lived. When did Khafre live? I think he lived about 4,500 years ago. Maybe a bit more than that. So that's pretty cool in itself. But they discovered 650 meters beneath the pyramid of Khafre, which is apparently the second biggest of the Great Pyramids. It's the one that's essentially in the middle.
Right.
They discovered a water system with underground pathways that lead even deeper into the earth. People from the University of Pisa believe that in the future, when the captured images can be expanded, it will be possible to discover an underground city beneath these structures. But a lot of people are saying, like, that's people are really getting ahead of themselves. According to the team that are leading the research, though, the wells identified beneath... That's another interesting thing. Before I researched this, I didn't know that they were apparently supposed to be like wells. The wells identified beneath Khafre are between 10 and 12 meters in diameter, which in itself is like massive, isn't it? Which is why it's believed that these structures could be supporting the pyramid. Moreover, Khafre is especially heavy, and it would need a very solid base to support it. Otherwise, it would have ended up sinking already. I think that's even amazing in itself, though. The idea that obviously it's already like an insane architectural and engineering feat, just like building the pyramids when they did, with like all the tools and everything they would have had at the time. But the idea then that they've got like these massive columns that go 650 meters into the earth, each one are 10 to 12 meters in diameter. Well, that's massive, isn't it? 10 to 12 meters in diameter.
That far down.
And that's
crazy.
Yeah, that is mad. So even if they are just like almost like essentially, you know, just like it's like a foundation, that is still like mind-boggling. Like how long would it even take them to like dig that deep? Do you know what I mean? Like it's like insane. Yeah, and it says like, you know, if you're wondering how they reach these, you know, how people came up with these conclusions of the cities and think there might be a city, it's all been possible thanks to the new underground scanning techniques using ground penetrating radar. In other words, radars that map the ground. Apparently it looks similar to like a human X-ray when you look at it, like similar like the images that you get back. And as you said, Drew, they send waves into the ground that bounce back when they hit something solid, which helps determine the distance to archaeological remains or simply something buried, which then allows exploration without having to destroy the terrain. Then estimations then are made after that. But one thing that's really interesting is that considering that all of these things supposedly would have been built 4,500 years ago, placing it at the height of what's known as the Egyptian Old Kingdom, what's really interesting is some of the architectural details apparently don't match at all what is known from that time period. So it's almost like this is just like new. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, obviously, like archaeologists have a pretty like good understanding, say, of like, you know, how the Vikings built their longhouses, you know, how they built their ships, how the Romans built their temples, things like that. And apparently the things that they're getting back doesn't match anything that they know of how like Egyptians built during the height of the Egyptian Old Kingdom, which in itself is like, whoa, that's pretty crazy, isn't it? That's pretty crazy.
I feel like part of the mystery behind it has been always as well how quick they managed to build the pyramids. Like in terms of them being a tomb for the pharaoh. Yeah. Obviously, there's only a certain amount of time that you've got to actually build that pyramid before.
Well, a lot of people. Most people. I don't know if most people. A lot of people say that they're not tombs, don't they? Right. A lot of people say like traditionally they were cool. They were cool tombs, but nowadays people are like, nah, they're not tombs. Do you know what I mean? They're like, it's like they're way more than tombs. Like, yeah, there are some pharaohs buried in them and that, but it's not just a tomb.
It's pretty crazy as well. On this episode, Robert Edgar Grant was talking about Da Vinci and some of the like codes that you can find in his paintings and his drawings and stuff like this. And he's got this sketchbook called Codex Atlanticus. Da Vinci does. And there's this picture in it, this drawing of like a pyramid and like loads of lines and things like that. And this pyramid that they found the things underneath, it's completely decoded in this hand drawing that Da Vinci has done, and like all of the tunnels, all of like the chambers in it, and the different things that are all like mapped out like by hand on this like weird drawing that he's done in his sketchbook. And it's like, and he's put things underneath it as well, like in this, like that kind of, yeah.
Oh, really?
And it's Da
Vinci
it's
did.
so crazy. And it's like he knew things about Egypt, or he stayed there and like kind of encoding this, but it's really crazy. Like there's even certain mathematical things in there that he was saying that weren't even discovered until a couple of hundred years later. Like he named these, there's like pi and something else, but he was talking about it and was basically like, Da Vinci's given examples of these mathematical things that were only discovered like a couple of hundred years later. So it's just really mad, man. Like how much they must have known even about. How did he know about all the insides of the pyramids, and how did he map it out like that just from like that long ago?
Yeah, it's quite intriguing, isn't it?
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really looked into like what Da Vinci knew about the pyramids, but yeah, that sounds insane, man. I'm definitely like intrigued to research that more. I think what's really interesting about this is like this, just like everything else when it comes to like the pyramids already, this is just almost just added more mystery to it. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like it's opened up more questions, if anything, than it's already answered. But this guy called Lawrence Conyers, who's apparently a radar expert from the University of Denver. said that no radar is powerful enough to penetrate the ground so deeply as to discover if there actually is a real underground city beneath Caffrey or not. So he says that people that are saying that is like a fact right now, that's like, that's an exaggeration. But he does acknowledge the possibility that apparently these deep underground wells or chambers were probably built sometime before the pyramid. And that they are underneath these columns. But in itself, that's sort of mental, isn't it? Like that's a mystery in itself. Like, why would you have all these freaking weird chambers? Like 650 meters like below the Earth's surface. Bearing in mind, as I said, this is like, so if people reckon that like the Pyramid of Caffrey was built around 4,500 years ago, or at least that's when is currently accepted as like the general scientific consensus. Even that, so it's like, well, when were these like chambers and wells and that built, and like why?
I remember seeing
Graham
Hancock show, Ancient Apocalypse on Netflix, and he was talking about a lot of these real ancient structures are almost like built on top of other stuff, so that you get down to the deepness of it, and there's some significance to the area of like a spring, a natural spring or something, and then it just goes like. So he was saying that the structures are probably not the oldest things. There's been like structures upon structures and that as well. Like, so they could be even older. And it's almost like that. You think like with the pyramids, like was it built on top of another thing that was like even older than that?
Yeah, I mean that could be exactly what's going on here, couldn't it? And I think that makes sense as well, because we see that that's happened all over the world since the dawn of time. I mean, even in our country, which is a lot more, we have a lot more documented written history about this, and obviously also it's newer history as well, which makes it easier. But there are lots of like massive stone castles in England today that were like built on the site of like an earlier like wooden like castle that originally would have just been like a hill fort as well. So it's almost been like built upon like say like 3 times, sometimes maybe even like 4 times over the course of its, originally it would have been like a hill fort that was used by like some old British tribe or early Saxons, because obviously if you're up on a high ground, you can see your enemies approaching, it's a very advantageous spot to be in for lots of reasons. And then it's like then maybe they built like a wooden castle, and then the Normans came in and were like, oh, this is awesome, but let's make this even better, let's build like a stone castle. Then maybe that was knocked down a little bit, build an even bigger one as well, using like the latest technology of that time. So it does like perfectly make sense, doesn't it?
So have they only scanned this one pyramid?
I'm not sure if it's like they've scanned all of them and they've only found it underneath Caffrey, the middle one, or if Caffrey's the only one that they've scanned so far. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah,
it's interesting as well. Like you can imagine how like we've said it with the Amazon jungle and everything like that. With this technology, when you start seeing more sites and locations like this, like how many things there are to uncover like under the ground. And this guy was hypothesizing as well that like potentially there was a period in like human evolution and history where we would have been underground a lot more. And I was like, well, that sounds a bit mad. So that imagine like we do uncover these like crazy big structures and cities or ancient things that are underground, and why would that be? And that thing about the meteors.
I can already I think that's that, but I mean, there's even other like reasons why I think, if you think about it, makes sense. Like we're exposed to before we had aircon and heating, being exposed to the elements is like a big deal, like a really big deal. Like think about how cold it is on say like the coldest days in winter, right? And then imagine that you're just outside, right? In that, always like more like you've just built some little hut with no no heating or anything. Like that's absolutely freezing. And then also think about how hot it is on like say like the hottest day of the year, and then imagine almost like not really having much respite from that. But I mean, when we went to like Wookie Hole Caves, Drew, do you remember the guy telling us that it's like isn't it like
14 degrees or something?
Constantly something like I think it was 14 degrees. I was just about to say 14 degrees, so it must be. It's like and the regardless of whether it's like -5 degrees outside centigrade or whether it's like 35 degrees, at the most the temperature inside the caves only changes by 1 degree. So on the coldest day of the year, it might get down to like 13. On the hottest day of the year, it might get up to like 15.
Yeah.
But that's it. So even if you think about that, that perfectly makes sense.
Constant temperature.
And we know that Wookey Hole, and they found loads of archaeological remains in Wookey Hole. So they know for a fact that people did inhabit it, like ancient peoples, because, as I said, it would have been the perfect place. You know, it would have almost been like finding like a hotel, or about like a free hotel. Like back in the day, do you know what I mean? If you find this entrance to like this nice big cave, you know, so it does make sense to me, you know. And they've also found they found other places, haven't they? Is it in, like Turkey or
I was just going to say that there's this like dope one. It's like loads of levels,
massive city.
And it could hold.
Isn't it like built into a mountain?
And it almost looks like an ant's nest when you look at a picture of like the from you know, like a drawing of what it'd be like if you split it down the middle. But it looks so cool, and I think that could hold like up to 2,000 people or something. For like for a it was for a certain period of time. I think it was about a month or something like that. Before you'd need to kind of clear out the poop and that.
Yeah, I mean, but that's quite a good amount of time, though, isn't it?
And that was why they were saying about
this,
if you just... You know, like the Younger Dryas impact theory, and every time these asteroids come round, that it could be this many, every time that happens, there's like loads. It's not just one big meteor, it's like something that could bombard you with like loads of smaller like asteroids and stuff, and how much devastation that would cause. Yeah. And it was almost like they were saying that could have been... It's a 2-week period where that happens. So if you've got like a month or something to be underground, like in that 2-week period, you would just go underground, and they were almost like preparing for that. That was like what you hypothesized of it as well. And I was like, that kind of makes sense. Like, you know, if you do know something like that's coming, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think like, it'd be interesting to think, isn't it? Like, where would you go if you knew that something like that was going to happen?
Yeah, I wish there was an underground bunker that I'd built.
You'd want to go somewhere like the Wookey Hole Caves, but so many people would think of that. Do you know what I mean? It'd be really like overrun in there, wouldn't it?
That's what I mean. There's not many of these places around, really, but I bet there's loads. Just like we just don't know about them yet.
Dig like a... Yeah. Go up the Quantox and just like dig like a secret underground bunker, like up like Triscum or something. I reckon that'd be a good place for it. Do you know what I mean? Nice and high. But you know, like at the top of Triscum, you know where we like filmed a lot of the Jimmy O'Malley video, Jimmy O'Malley Part 2. Like more that side of Triscum, not like, you know, not where it's like all hilly where you can watch it in that. Like the other side where it's like goes into the forest a little bit, because you're still like, it's still over 1,000 feet above sea level, you know, but it's like a bit more like hidden and stuff, and it'd be less likely that other people would find it and stuff, because you know, there's only so much poop you could be dealing with, and you'd only have so much resources as well, so you'd want to be like...
I often think things like this, like where would I go if things really hit the fan, you know?
Yeah, and also I always think like, what would I do if there was like a zombie apocalypse? That's a good one. Do you know what I mean? It's just like quite a fun thing to think, isn't it? Yeah. Funny enough, I rewatched 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later.
Oh mate, I did recently as well. Yeah, just because after we just...
I watched 28 Weeks Later on...
Yeah, after we discussed it on the pod last time, and I was like, right, I'm just gonna watch them. I watched I watched both of them, and then the new... Is the new one come out yet, or is it coming out soon?
No, the new one's out in June. It's coming out in cinema in June. So I'll definitely go to the cinema to watch that. But yeah, I think the first two were really, really good. I watched 28 Weeks Later, actually, just the Saturday just gone by, and then I watched 28 Days Later, like last month. Yeah, so good, isn't it? I feel it's quite like there's quite a lot of like sad bits. I feel like the 28 Weeks Later is like more sad than the first one.
I really wanted to watch them, but I can only find like the second one. 28 Weeks Later. I can't find 28 Days anywhere.
Video.
Yeah, I mean they are both on Amazon, but you have to rent
both of them.
Right.
Just for like £3.
Yeah, I rented both of them as well. Yeah, that's it. I rented both of them, but yeah, I feel like the second one's really sad. I mean, obviously, don't want to give away any spoilers, so I won't. But yeah, it's just like quite sad bits, isn't there?
Yeah, man.
Like MVP Sniper Man. Just say that was really sad, because he's definitely the MVP of the movie, and also just that whole scene with like the table and then that couple. I don't want to say more than that, but because that's just brutal and really sad.
Yeah, man.
You know? And it's like that, and just like the whole like you think about, like at the beginning as well, where
part for me, I was just like,
and it's like you're like conflicted because it's like, it's just like, it almost like made me laugh in a way. Like when I say it made me laugh, just because it's almost like I don't want to like give away like spoilers, but it's almost just like comical it's almost like comical just how much he's running. He's like, man, screw this, laters. And there's something almost like the fact that almost seemed like he was like there was no doubt in his mind. Almost that's what almost made it comical to me. Like you think that you do almost be a bit like,
look back.
Shall I go back? But he's just tanking it through that field, just like tanking it. Man, that was so funny. But yeah, great movies though, such good movies. I think, and I think they're almost like they're by far like the most realistic movies. I love it in 28 Weeks Later, where it's like, it starts and then it gives you a little rundown, and it's like 28, like day one, this happened, like virus outbreak. 28 days later, Britain's in turmoil, and then it's like 28 weeks later, like zombies have starved, full NATO military response led by US forces, and then it's like the US Army have basically just moved into the UK to like retake control, and it's just epic. It's just epic, isn't it? It's like well good, and you think, actually, yeah, that's probably what would happen. Like, it's not like in a George A. Romero movie where there's almost like a supernatural element to it, or like The Evil Dead. It's like scientific, and do you know what I mean? It's like very scientific, and you think, yeah, this is actually exactly like what I can imagine would happen.
Cool.
If like there was this like weird, because like, and the thing is as well, I guess it's like it's not that crazy really, because it's like. You know how like rabies, like with dogs, like you could have like the nicest, sweetest dog, and if your dog got rabies, it would essentially be like
rabid.
It would get like what the virus does to the people in 28 days later,
virus.
Isn't it? There's even that Stephen King, isn't there? Is it Cujo?
Oh yeah,
that
I've
book,
heard
Cujo,
of it.
and they made a movie out of it as well. And it's essentially about a Saint Bernard, like this sweet, lovely Saint Bernard, but obviously Saint Bernards like massive, aren't they? They're one of the biggest dog breeds, and it gets rabies. And then it just basically turns almost into a horror movie where like their dog is like trying to kill them, and they're like hiding, and they're like on the run from their dog, and they live in this like farm out in the middle of nowhere, so there's not really anywhere they can go for like help.
Rabies is horrible. Rabies, like apparently there's no symptoms until it's too late.
That's brutal, isn't it?
Like obviously, I guess you get the act of getting bit, so you kind of need to get a shot then. But you even if you didn't get a shot, or if you did get a shot, you wouldn't have known if you had it until after you would have started like going crazy and like
people go crazy.
You get like hydrophobia, you get like aquaphobia and everything as well. So you're like scared of water. So you like won't drink water or anything. Your body won't like receive it. So you just it's crazy.
Yeah, people can get it, but it doesn't make them like super aggressive. I don't think the same way as it does with like say like dogs and stuff like that. I don't really know why, but what was I going to say about rabies? Oh yeah, it was when Em got attacked by that squirrel. Funnily enough, talking about Wookiee Hole. When we were walking back to the car, Drew?
Did it actually like?
And that's freaking,
yeah,
it cut her.
Oh my god!
It scratched her, and she was worried that she was going to get rabies. So yeah, that was quite funny. But no, she ended up going. She did end up because she rang 111 when we were in the car, and they were like basically like don't panic, but yeah, like come in for a shot. And then they basically like they were like it's not like don't come into A&E now. They were like you'll just be waiting for ages, and it's not like that much of a panic. But they basically just booked her in for like 10 a.m. the next day. Like, yep, come in to Bridgewater Hospital. We'll give you a shot, and that will just basically cover you for like anything that you could have, potentially like got from like a squirrel scratch.
It was just a squirrel in a bin, wasn't it? And it just jumped out of the bin, like attacked Emily and ran off.
Yeah, it was mental, wasn't it? I remember just like a millisecond before it like went like. Did a full Bilbo Baggins. I remember just hearing this this rattling in the bin for like a millisecond before, and I'm just really, really like happy though that obviously it got Em and not Evie, because Evie's head probably wouldn't have been like that. Yeah. Would have probably been about the same as like Em's knee height. Well, she's probably a bit taller than that, but do you know what I mean? It's like at least it was like Em's knee and not like Evie's face or something.
Could have took.
I'd been well pissed off. That was it. Mate, I would have chased that squirrel down and freaking.
I thought you were going to say you were really happy to just see a squirrel for a second.
Mate, to be honest, I was just really happy to see a squirrel, man.
Saw a squirrel?
Whether it was attacking us or not, just happy to see a squirrel. It's one thing I always say in life. Happy to see a squirrel.
Got to see the squirrels, man.
Regardless of what's happening, if you see a squirrel, instantly a bit better. Yeah. Regardless of scenario. Oh. Someone's been done. Oh my god, the farm. Do we have to go? Do we actually have to go out?
Maybe we might have to take a break.
Right, guys, we're going to take a break. The house is The studio's burning down.
Oh my god!
Need to evacuate.
Oh my god!
We'll be back in a minute. Listen to some Queen. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We haven't burnt to death. Luckily, an old lady accidentally set off a fire alarm. I say it's horrible. It's so loud.
It's a darn loud alarm.
Oh, it's like destroys your ears, man. It destroys your ears. Talking about like crazy creatures like zombies that could kill you. Do you want to hear about another crazy creature that could kill you?
Hell yeah!
And apparently did kill people. Have you guys ever heard of Dinopithecus? Dinopithecus is it's known. That's basically, it translates in English to terrible ape.
Ooh, I feel like I have heard of this.
Man,
Cool
this is
stuff.
a scary. I reckon in some ways this is like the closest we ever got to a werewolf.
Whoa,
Yeah.
mate, that's so cool.
Like actual scientifically, because they kind of actually look a bit like a werewolf.
And a
It was
baboon.
what it was technically. Yes, so that's what it was really. It's like an ancient genus of like massive baboon that was like the size of a person. But you know how like a lot of like you know how like baboons are very aggressive, and how like even like smaller monkeys can be really aggressive, don't you? You see in like some countries like snatching people's food and pulling people's hair and that. Well, apparently, just like baboons today have like long snouts and like big canines, big canine teeth. Well, Dinopithecus did too, but it was just like way bigger than a modern baboon. And as a result, and apparently ancient people that lived in the same habitat as Dinopithecus were like terrified of them. And you can see why. Imagine it's like late at night and you hear like some rustling, and then you just like see like some eye glare, and then it's like the silhouette of what essentially almost looks like, almost a bit like a werewolf.
Mate.
Because I said they would be like, they could walk on 2 feet, but would mainly walk on 4s, but had like the long snout, covered in like shaggy dark fur, a little bit like how a werewolf is depicted, big massive canine teeth, and they were opportunistic hunters as well. So for example, even with modern day baboons, don't get me wrong, this happens like extremely rarely, but there have been instances where baboons have killed children, like killed human children.
So imagine they're quite
which is
strong.
sad,
Right?
isn't
That would be really strong if it was the size of a human.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think baboons are like less, like just a bit under half the size of a human.
Yeah.
So imagine a baboon the size of a human, how much stronger it would be, how much bigger the teeth would be. But yeah, these like Dinopithecus, they lived alongside people, and they think that there's like evidence that humans would have been terrified of them. One of the reasons that we know this is because it seems from archaeological remains that humans went out of their way to kill Dinopithecus when Dinopithecus were still adolescents.
Man.
So they would essentially hunt down adolescent Dinopithecus and kill them. And we know this because there's like archaeological remains of quite a few young Dinopithecus that have been like almost like in a mass grave together, where it's almost like that's where they would chuck the bodies of the adolescent Dinopithecus that humans would hunt.
It's like Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, like Planet of the Apes.
Like full-on War of the Planet of the Apes. That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like
That's so cool.
You know, we don't know obviously to what extent Dinopithecus like damaged humans, but we know for a fact that humans thought that they were a big enough threat that they actively were like hunting the junior ones. But yeah, would hunt the adolescent ones obviously, because they knew that the adult ones were like, you know, obviously far more formidable. So if they'd kill them young, then less of them to grow into like adulthood and to be like a full threat to humankind. But that's quite like as I said, it's just that idea of almost being like late at night and like just like almost like coming into a confrontation with something like that. I can imagine that'd be terrifying.
Mate, they have like horrible like screeches, baboons as well, like creepy screeches.
And I
they
imagine,
look a bit like demons.
I bet
yeah, they do.
be loud
But then imagine one,
if they were that big.
yeah. But then imagine, 100%, dude. But then imagine one that was like the size of you.
Yeah.
But just like way
On this
more like
picture,
muscular
it
and everything.
almost looks like I can imagine a lion's mouth when I'm looking at just like you know what I mean, like the teeth and just like how it's like barring its teeth and like opening its mouth wide like that. It almost looks like a lion-esque like kind of thing.
Man, it's sketchy, isn't it? It's sketchy. Yeah, and they think that like they know, like archaeologists know that they were they basically would have eaten a combination of fruit and meat, like the same as modern day baboons. But yeah, it's like strongly theorized that like baboons that the Dinopithecus would have sometimes would have even, you know, they wouldn't have been above eating man flesh. Let's put it that way. And it must have been like a terrifying thing to like have a kid and be like worried that it's going to be snatched up by a Dinopithecus or something like that.
I'm surprised like not actual adults as well. Like they could probably take on an adult. They look like anyway.
Oh yeah. Oh no, yeah. I'm sure they could, but
I don't reckon I'm winning a fight against the Dinopithecus.
Oh, I think that it's like let's face it. I think it's almost like an absolute certainty that there have been humans that were killed by Dinopithecus, but I expect it's one of those things that like a fully grown
just go for the weak ones.
Like male with a spear would be like considered. You know, it's a bit like lions, man. It's like lions, even though lions can like they can murk a zebra, but it's like they'd rather go for an adolescent zebra because there's less chance of them getting kicked in the face. Do you know what I mean? It's like most animals will go for like the weak, don't they? And they often say like, yeah, like they'll always like pick out like the weak of the herd, which will either be like the elderly or the young, won't they? You know, they're not gonna, because it's like, well, why would you go for the thing that's like the biggest threat, even if you probably can get away with it? It just doesn't really make much sense, does it? But yeah, we know for a fact that humans were terrified of Dinopithecus and went out of their way to hunt the adolescents, which is crazy.
One of them bounding after you when you're just on your Sunday walk.
Oh man, I reckon it would have looked like a bit like a werewolf. If you see some pictures of it, it does look like a werewolf, and it could get to 1.8 meters tall, which is pretty much like, you know, that's like a decent human height. I think I'm like 100. I think I'm like 1.85 centimeters or something like that.
Yeah, I'm 183.
So like so that's a good height.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's like around 6 foot-ish.
Yeah.
That is like around 6 foot-ish. Do we have it on here so that people can see pictures? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Let's get a picture up for the people. So if you're listening on the radio. We do also release this on YouTube and Spotify, and if you watch it on YouTube or Spotify, Pandora's Box Podcast, you can see, you know, you can see us in our visages. You can see the video of us, and also if we get any pictures up, you can see. So I
would like them to create like a, you know how there's like a new Jurassic Park series of films called like Jurassic World, where it's essentially like an island that they've just like made into a zoo sort of thing, where they just let all of these like prehistoric animals like dinosaurs, T-Rexes, but also like stuff like Dinopithecus, just almost in like a zoo.
Man,
well, they're bringing the woolly mammoth back, so.
Man, man,
and
they're bringing back the thylacine, the saber-toothed you know, the
Tasmanian tiger. Saw a video of that the other day.
So cool.
I saw a video of the last ever one in
like some zoo somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah, in a zoo. And mate, it looks like a weird animal.
Yeah,
it's got like a real long, pointy face, doesn't it?
Also, what's quite interesting about them as well is they had a very long, very big head compared to the size of their bodies, and also they a bit like some other species in the world, they could open their jaws up almost like to a crazy amount.
Whoa!
You know, like almost. I think like almost 180 degrees, which is crazy, isn't it? So, but yeah, look. For people that are watching on YouTube or Spotify, check out this picture of Dinopithecus. So this is a large male baboon on the right, which in itself is still pretty big, and it's the size of a big dog. But then look at this,
mate. Imagine when it's like standing up on its back 2 legs as well. If it stood up straight,
oh, man, Surely its head would be like 7 foot when it's doing that.
More probably.
And then look at that depiction of it with like an ancient horse. Just like, oh man, it looks evil, doesn't it? As it like ripping apart.
The eyes, it's the like beady little red eyes.
Yeah, that's what I saw. See what I mean about like the lion's mouth? It looks a bit like
yeah, and almost a bit manish as well. It almost looks like it's got like a lion's mane almost.
Pure muscle too.
Oh man, it's a scary looking beast, isn't it? That's a scary beast. Oh man,
I think it's the fact that they are so similar to us that makes them like even more creepy.
Oh, that looks terrifying. That one, where almost like someone's actually, rather than just like a picture, it almost looks like what it would actually look like to us. That is scary, isn't it? So for people that are just listening on the radio, this I guess it's more of like a, rather than just a picture, someone's tried to like create like I don't know if it's CGI or something of what it would actually look like. And it just looks terrifying. Basically, it's like almost got like a bit like blue markings like between its eyes and its nose, a bit like a modern day baboon. And then it's just like almost like ruby red nose, these like yellow eyes with just like little black dots in the middle, and then there's just these massive teeth. And it just looks a bit mental, to be honest, doesn't it?
They just look a bit feral, don't they? Like we were speaking about rabies earlier. I always think baboons, when they look angry, they just look like they all got rabies.
Well, I think as well,
mega angry.
I think as well as one thing that makes them obviously more scary is they're not technically apes, are they, baboons? They're the largest monkeys. And you can basically, in general, you can tell the difference between an ape and a monkey because no apes have tails and monkeys have tails. So that's the easiest way to tell the difference. So you can see, obviously, that like baboons have tails. But as a result, they're like not as intelligent as chimps, orangutans, or gorillas. And we've talked before about how terrifying chimps are. So I'm not necessarily saying, you know, that just because they're stupid, they're more scary just for that. But I do think there's an element of, like, as you said, there's a feral quality they seem to have. Whereas, like, at least with like chimps, I don't know, there's maybe a little bit more you feel like you have in common with them.
Yeah, you can almost understand them a little bit more.
Yeah. Whereas these just seem scary, don't they?
I'm going to type in seem wild.
Deinopithecus skull, so that before we move on, we can actually have a look at what like a skull looks like at them. Because look at that. Look at the teeth. Look at that. That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Those are some nasty teeth, man.
Has anyone had
videos
like
of
baboon pets? Or are they not like... Are they not
I don't think
petable?
so. I don't think you can domesticate them.
They do look pretty like rabid and savage.
Yeah, let's. I'll look it up and we can talk about it on the next pod. But I reckon it'd be like near impossible to domesticate a baboon. I reckon they'd be too dangerous.
You see videos of like orangutans driving little cars and stuff, don't you?
Orangutans are really smart, though. Aren't they?
I could not imagine a baboon. If you gave it a car, it would just try to scratch your face off. You know, I couldn't imagine it being like thankful and like, you know what, I'm going to drive this around.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't reckon they'd have the intelligence to even like learn how to drive a car. And I said I don't even reckon they'd even entertain it. I reckon they just go mental and just like run off.
Have you guys ever been like super close to like a great ape and looked in their eyes? Like I hear about people say that you can see like a depth to their eyes that's almost like, you know, like an emotional intelligence and stuff. And I'd find that like real interesting. And the only time I ever remember doing it was like when I was way too young to think of stuff like that. And I was just up the front, and it was like right next to this like this plexiglass. And it was just looking at me, and then he was like pooping and just taking it in his hand, and then just like shoving it in his mouth while looking at me. Yeah, and he was just like eating his own poo. That was like the only interaction I had.
He was flirting with you, man.
Did you say that was a gorilla?
Yeah, and it was just like sitting there, and it was like staring at me with it poo in his hand, and then it would just like shove it in his mouth, like while just staring at me.
Oh, mate, eating his own poo.
I'm pretty sure it's a gorilla.
That's gross, isn't it?
I
went to Monkey World in Dorset several years ago, and that had chimps, gorillas, and orangutans, as well as loads of other monkeys. But I've been to like, you know, in Bristol Zoo and stuff. Got like gorillas, and I definitely think with both orangutans and gorillas, you can real feel that like family, you know, vibe. And what I mean by is like you almost feel like they are family with you. You know, you can see it's almost like it's not you know when you look at somebody and like they're watching a television program that they're into, so they're not like tuned into you, they're tuned into what they're watching.
Sure.
And maybe they're like eating something and you can just see that they're a bit like it's like that.
Yeah,
it's like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's almost like funny when you catch somebody that you know, like in your house or something, or like a family member doing that, and they almost look a bit like an orangutan or something when they're doing it.
Almost like when Drew was in the break when Drew was doing the R&D stuff.
Yeah, you looked a bit like an ape. Yeah, you looked a bit like an ape doing that, Drew. And there's that picture in there that like I remember like Savannah posts about once a year of Sherelle, and like she caught Sherelle like on the sofa, and she does look like a female orangutan.
God. Yeah,
doesn't she?
It was hilarious.
She's just sort of like, she's just like chewing. She's like, and she just proper looks like a little orangutan.
Yeah,
it's mental. Yeah, I always think that of Evie as well. You know, like Evie like comes home from school. You know, you just like let her like. You know what I mean, it's like they've had a full-on day. Just let them like, you know, have like a, you know, just let them have like a snack and just like watch, like vegetate in front of the telly for half an hour. Just let them just relax a little bit. You know, they've been doing English and maths and PE all day and that. Like, let the poor little thing just have a rest. And it's, you can tell where she's just quite tired and that from a full-on day. And she's just there, like, with a banana or something. She's like... And I'll be like, Evie, and she just doesn't respond. She's just like... And you have to just say her name, like, 4 times. And then suddenly she's like, what? Oh, yeah.
This may sound like a bit of a silly question, but does it make you feel more animal, like having a kid? That's the both of you, I guess. Like,
I reckon it does.
I feel like in our day to day, like right now, we're all having a chat, but we're sat in front of like computer screens. Drew, we're speaking to you online. Like, that's very unnatural. It's very unanimal, isn't it? It's almost like we're our consciousness rather than the animal that we are.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like something about having a kid is just the most natural you can be. That's the most natural thing in the world.
Especially when you see them being so animal, or like, do you know what I mean? Like when you see them in that raw state of like they don't know any of the world yet, so they're just pure inquisitive and just like these, especially like when they're newborn, because it is like just weird. It's just like this little creature that's just like just doing these things, and you're like, what they even know why they're doing it. They're just in pure natural, like, my body's moving because it needs to move like this, like, rather than thinking about it, you know. And I even think now, before Ruben can speak and stuff, like we're like, I wonder like how like he thinks, or like what he thinks, or like, you know, is it in, do you know what I mean? Like, is it more primal thoughts?
I don't reckon he thinks much.
It's just purely in the moment.
I don't reckon he thinks much. I think it's like their brain is yeah, 100%. But I think their brains are like so busy developing. You know, I don't think they have time to like think or anything like that. I think they're just trying. It's just, you know, all of the energy of the infant is just they're taking any nutrition they're getting from like the milk and that, and all the effort is just going into growing. You know, that's what I think. You know. Because I think, you know, I mean, I look back on what Evie was like when she was like an infant compared to how she is now, and it's like obviously it's like nothing. It's like nothing alike. It's like a completely different type of parenting. Yeah, you know, it's like, you know, when they're an infant, they can't do anything for themselves at all, and as you said, they can't speak, they can't clean up after themselves in the bathroom. So you know, like cleaning up their bum and stuff for them, and like taking care of their poos. And you like, do you know what I mean? You have to like, everything has to be like spoon fed for them, you know. I'm not talking about literally. I'm talking about like everything, you know, like. So it's like, it's just completely different, isn't it? It's like a completely different type of parenting. For me, it gets much more fun actually when they start developing a bit more of a personality, and they are, you know, when they start saying those first couple of words. And then once they say these first couple of words after that, it's just obviously like, it's sort of, it's a bit of a domino effect, obviously. Like, it's almost like every couple of days they'll learn another word, and then they'll learn another word. And then it's like, and then they have like this really cute speech for a couple of years where it's almost like very like limited, and also like a bit like a speech impediment-y. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it's like really funny. You know what I mean? It's like really, and it's quite sweet, you know? And you almost like miss that a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, because by this point, like, yeah, Evie just like, obviously she's a kid, so she says like hilarious stuff still. But you know, like her enunciation and the way that she pronounces things is like way more polished than it would have been 2 years ago, which is like quite in a way you almost like miss those like that almost like that innocence. You know, almost like the silliness and the innocence, you know, of it. That like she can say spaghetti normally now, but she always used to call it biscotti, and that was just really like funny. Do you know what I mean? It was almost just like really comical. Like,
I want biscotti meatballs, Daddy.
And it'd just be like the most hilarious thing. Do you know what I mean?
Biscotti meatballs, Daddy.
It's like hilarious little, it's like having like a funny little gnome that just lives with you. You know what I mean? It's like weird little gnome that you've just created that just like lives in your house. Literally like the size of a gnome, sort of talks like a gnome. Just sort of like walks about just doing. I know it's perfect. Perfect, mate. That's great. I know, the Gnome King. You know, I should have got her like a little hat.
Gnome King.
I should have got her a little hat.
Dress Evie up as a gnome at some point, actually.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's really funny. I definitely did say like that I wanted to dress her up as Halloween as a gnome, but I think it's one of those things like you have your dreams as a dad, and you're like, no, next Halloween I'm going to dress her up as a gnome, and then it comes to Halloween, and then suddenly your missus is like, oh, I've got her like I asked her what she wanted to do, and she wanted to go as a witch, so I got her this nice like velvety purple witch outfit, and then by that point you're like, well, I can't demand that she doesn't and make her dress like a gnome, can I? I'd be some sort of like monster. Some sort of like gnome enforcing monster.
Making them like live your own little fantasy of like being a gnome.
You know, you're like parents living vicariously through their children, but rather than like pushing them into sport or academics, I'm just making her dress like a gnome. That's like my version.
That's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny though, isn't it? It is funny being a parent. It is spinny, and I definitely do think, yeah, like what you were saying, Bullwinkle, it does feel like more animal.
Yeah. Where is Monkey World?
Dorset.
How far is that?
Not far, man.
I might go to Monkey World this week.
2 hour. I
This
reckon from Bridgewater, 2 hour drive to Monkey World.
Mate, I might end up
It's
in Monkey
worth
World.
it. But man, I'd be interested to see if you think what I think and that about the chimps being sketchy. It was like while we were there, the chimps were just almost like battling. There was like the chimp enclosure. I think was the biggest enclosure, and I don't know how many of them were, but let's say there were 20 of them, and it was like gang warfare,
Mate.
And wherever you were in Monkey World, like, you know, you could be down in the orangutan enclosure, which was like down as you enter Monkey World, like right down the far right at the back. You could still just hear in the distance, just hear, and it was like and every now and again like a little bang or something where one of them would like pick something up and like smacked like the fence or something. And it was crazy.
Yeah.
I remember just thinking like,
yeah.
man, like it is such a good thing that they are in such a big enclosure with like a freaking like 35-foot high fence, and like the fence is all at the top. It's all like, you know, it's like built in a certain way.
Yeah.
Obviously, so chimps can't get out. That's another thing as well. They have to be like, you have to use full-on engineering to keep the chimps out, because obviously they can climb really well, and they have hands and they have like digits like us, so are perfectly designed to like climb fences as well. Oh mate, yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? I really wouldn't be that surprising if like one of them managed to get out. That's the thing, you know?
Yeah.
The mixture of intelligence and then the fact that they're so good at climbing.
And make sure you look at some apes in the eye as well, man. So tell us what. See what
man. I'll give him a little stare down.
Let me just quickly type in Monkey World. Monkey World. Let's see how far it is. Monkey World. Dorset.
Have they got like fully black eyes?
I don't know.
What? Orangutans?
Like, I'm thinking of gorillas, I think.
Gorillas. I think. No, I don't. No, I think they do have. Mate, that's not even that as far as I thought. 1 hour 42 minutes, man.
Oh, mate.
Go.
I will be there.
Monkey World.
I'll be there. My favourite animal.
Oh, they're like bright
So, you know.
orange gorilla eyes. Like in the middle, most of them anyway. Well, I think everyone.
Yeah, I can remember thinking that they. I can remember thinking that they have like pupils and that, like
yeah,
us.
like they look really amber color, like black on the like black where ours are white, but orange.
That's mental. That's mental, isn't it?
Like pure black.
I wonder why that is.
Which is
know?
really weird.
There must be a reason.
Well, it looks
for
like that anyway. Yeah,
you know?
it looks like that. Crazy.
That must have been one of the orangutans.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
I still fell in love with that
Let me go back.
spider monkey in Peru. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, when you were like had this weird like.
And it come and like lied in my lap.
Imagine
and
if
put its
unbeknownst-
little head in my lap and was looking up at me and like kind of stroking my face and stuff.
Imagine if you accidentally were doing like a mating ritual.
I would have quite liked it. I think
you were doing like a mating. You reckon? fondled
I would have fondled the spider
fondled a
monkey. That little digit on the end of its tail.
Yeah.
He could have tickled me with
Oh
that.
baby. Oh baby. Oh yeah.
Orangutan eyes are a bit more like they're not as orange in the middle. They still look quite orange, but they've got the white part like ours, and then black rim. Oh yeah, some of them look orange in the middle still, like amber.
Do you know what I want to get?
What's that?
Do you know what I want to get?
What's that, man?
Have you heard about this new thing that scientists have created? It's like a hydrogel. It's called hydrogel. It's a new hydrogel injection that strengthens your bone density by 5 times.
What? Mate, like the iron, like Wolverine.
Exactly.
Mate.
I want to get it.
And you can actually get it.
Would that make you
I don't know if you
stronger?
I don't know if you can actually get it. Well, I don't think it's one of those things where like you could rock up and be like, I want the injection. I mean, money
like
talks.
People use it for their
so if you were
knees
probably
and
like
stuff, like for like when you get knobbly bad knees.
I was going to say it's more for like some like conditions.
Just for people like osteoporosis.
Yes, probably the things like osteoporosis, other like congenital diseases and stuff. But yeah, it's a groundbreaking injectable hydrogel that may soon offer a faster, more effective treatment for osteoporosis and other conditions that weakens bones and increases fracture risks. Developed by researchers at EPFL in Switzerland and startup Flowbone, which is a company. Flowbone. Hey man, I want to see my Flowbone. The new hydrogel made from hyaluronic acid and hydroxyapatite. I did not pronounce that right. Nanoparticles mimics bones' natural minerals and strengthens fragile areas. In lab tests on rats, the treatment increased bone density by up to 3 times within just weeks. When combined with the osteoporosis drug zolodronate, bone density at the injection site increased nearly 5-fold, potentially reducing the risk of fractures far more quickly than current medications. While the hydrogel is not a permanent fix, researchers believe it could revolutionize osteoporosis management by complementing existing drug therapies and speeding up recovery. Given that osteoporosis affects millions worldwide, especially postmenopausal women, this breakthrough could significantly lower the risk of life-threatening fractures. Apparently, the team now aims to secure regulatory approval and begin clinical trials, bringing this promising technology one step closer to real-world use. If successful, it could redefine how osteoporosis is treated, offering patients faster relief and stronger bones. Man, if I was a millionaire, I definitely would.
That and stem cells.
I wonder yes, I'd get stem cells, and I want to have unbreakable bones.
Yeah, I wonder if it stacks. Like if you get 4, you have 20 times stronger bones.
Mate, I love it. I love that. Like that's like computer game logic. I love that. Do you know what I mean? That's like Skyrim logic. I love that. What if it stacks? Mate? Does the game stack, or does it just cancel each other out? Yeah.
Imagine fighters getting it in their face.
I mean, to be honest,
just like cheekbones and stuff.
Oh man, yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. I think it's one of those things you probably wouldn't want to chase the dragon with it too much. Like, don't aim to have like 100 times stronger. I feel like you'd get some.
Wouldn't be able to swim.
No, you'd probably. Yeah, imagine that. You just sink.
Yeah. With a stone.
God, that'd be mental, wouldn't it? Yeah. That'd be mental. Yeah, but I reckon like five times would be a good amount though. You know, just enough that like, you know, if you were hit by a car, you could probably just have nothing more than flesh wounds. Because do you remember that guy we talked about on the pod before, and he had a natural genetic mutation. We were talking about people with different genetic mutations, like X-Men style genetic mutations. And he basically had, I think his bone density was 4 times stronger than the average person. And he got hit by I can't remember if it was like by a car or a van or a lorry or something. And he was taken in hospital and everyone thought that he was going to be pronounced dead. And apparently he physically he looked really bad because obviously he was like bleeding lots and he like had lots of like bruises and stuff. And they were like, oh man, his insides are just going to be mush. And then they x-rayed him and just didn't have a single broken bone. And as a result, all of his internal organs were fine, obviously, because they were just protected by his skeleton. And they were like, what the hell? And then they did some tests on him to like find out how it was possible. And they were like, this guy's got some super rare genetic mutation where his bones, for some reason, are just like, 4 times denser than the average person.
I wonder how it works with like if that guy just decided he was going to become the world heavyweight champ, right? And he just like spent, just learned boxing and got like really heavy. I wonder if he would just have like the strongest punch in the world.
I reckon it would. I don't know. I reckon it would affect your ability to take damage more than your ability to dish out damage. Because I think I'm not sure how much more it would make your punches hurt.
They say, don't they, that all the like the heavyweight champs and stuff, if you were to feel their like knuckle, it's just like a rock. It's just like ridiculous.
But a lot of that is because what happens is because they're hitting heavy bags all their lives and actual people and stuff like that. What happens is your bones calcify.
Sure.
So you're causing loads of like micro fractures in your knuckles, and then they essentially heal up and then become harder and like a bit bigger. That's why you see like there are like some really weird like skulls that I found like, from throughout history, and it's like from people basically like taking advantage of calcification to like achieve an outcome. So there are even some skulls they found of people where it looks like people have got little horns. And they reckon that people would have like knocked on their head, like continuously over the course of their lives with like little hammers or something. And in the end, it will literally cause like little skulls. So you can see skulls. You can find pictures of skulls on the internet with like weird things. Yeah, I'll type in like strange skulls.
While you're searching that up, I went to Ripley's the other day. You'd really like Ripley's, man.
Yeah.
The auditorium. It just has like loads of interesting people. Did you know there was like a Chinese, like, I don't think he was like an emperor, but he was an important guy. I think his son might have even been like in line to inherit China, right? and he had 4 eyes.
Really?
Yeah.
4 eyes?
Yeah, like if you were to look in his eyes, he had like 4 pupils.
That's
He
weird.
had like 2 pupils in each eye.
I feel like that's a bit unsettling.
That would
man.
be.
There are these ones, which I think are from South America. You know, where people have like constricted the skulls, and they've got like extra long skulls.
Oh yeah,
that looks horrible.
So weird.
Why people would have done that?
They wrap
Why
these,
people would
like,
have done
things
that
around the baby's head, like because it's got a hole at the top of it, and it's malleable when they're that young, and they wrap this cloth real tightly around their heads and just constrict all their brain. Like that must be horrible, and then like keep doing it all throughout childhood and that. It's like the Chinese when they break.
There's
their
like
feet.
tribes in Africa as well. Yeah, they're Chinese where they break the feet and make the women have like those deformed tiny feet. And also in some tribes in Africa, don't they as well? They like do other weird things. Yeah, with the neck, and then like if they just take them off there, they've just got this like really weirdly long neck. It's like it's all similar things, isn't it? It's like it's like affecting your bone structure just from like continued.
You can imagine it must be pretty painful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Horns, strange skulls. Hopefully, this will actually come out with like people, not just animals. Human skulls.
That one right on the top right looks mental.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Oh, this is one. Yeah, I know that's like a real one, like a skull. That's like, yeah. Look, there's a picture of the guy.
He was in Ripley's.
Was he? Was he actually?
There was another guy.
The human Wang. I love that his name's Wang, the human unicorn.
What?
Wang.
That he didn't do that with hammers.
Type in. I think this.
No,
I think
like,
in his case that was actually like a problem he had, like some sort of condition.
I think it's like the same like texture as like a nail.
Yeah, look at this woman as well. This is a modern woman, a woman that's alive today. Look, she's got a horn.
What the hell?
Like a nubbin.
Why?
Almost looks like she's got the start of one on the other side as well.
Yeah, do you reckon it is? Do you reckon, would you like to tickle that, Drew?
Oh
no!
Imagine just like licking the end of their horn. Giving it a little.
Oh man! For people that just listen on the radio, yeah, it's like we're looking at pictures of people that actually have like strange horns on their head, and there was one called there was a guy called Wang. And he basically had like a big horn coming out the back of his head. And then there's a woman as well who seems to be alive today, like an old Asian woman, and she's got a horn coming out of her forehead. So yeah, you can look that up. If you want to look it up, I just typed in strange human skull
horns. What would cause that?
On Google Images.
Can you search up?
It's something to do with calcification, isn't it?
Can you search up the human lighthouse?
The human lighthouse. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Sort of similar thing.
Right.
I believe it was a guy who had like a hole in his head, and he filled it with a candle, and he would like walk around with the candle lit on his head,
that
like
is
an actual
mental,
real man.
That is actually mental. The human lighthouse.
Maybe try searching like Ripley's afterwards.
Okay.
That might help the CEO.
How was Ripley spelled, man?
Just like R-E-P-L-E-Y-S.
R-E-P?
R-I-P-L-E-Y-S, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Man, what a nutter.
Yeah.
Man, he looks really happy.
The lighthouse man.
He would just walk around with a candle in his head?
Yeah. How mental is that? I guess he must have just had like a hole in his head and he just filled it with the candle.
When you would have thought it would have hurt because the wax would have dripped onto his head, wouldn't you? That's strange. Yeah, so people that are listening on the radio, it's just a man, and it's really happy, a really happy Asian man, and he's just got a candle, and like a little hole in his head. It says he bored a hole in his head. What? So he did it himself? He bored a hole in his head and wears a lighted candle in it.
Mate, he looks mental from like how happy he looks in that little photo.
Yeah, he's well happy.
Shrunken heads are weird as well, aren't they? When they would do that in tribes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. I reckon that last guy was related to Io Sky. There's like a Chinese wrestler.
Yeah, Sky.
Yeah, is she Chinese or Japanese?
That's a good question. Japanese would be my guess.
Yeah, I reckon she's Japanese actually.
Yeah.
Me and Bullwinkle went to London to watch the WWE Raw on Monday.
How did it go?
That was mental.
Yeah.
Man, it was great.
Awesome.
It was freaking good.
So good.
Man, it was just like pure pantomime.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? It was pure pantomime. It was great. But yeah, no, it was really good. It was like, I think a bit like music, you can just appreciate it more live, you know? Just like, you can appreciate all the talent that goes into it, and like the matches and like even like the promos and everything. It was just quite like a masterclass in that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like just everything about it, and even the production and everything is so impressive.
Lots of lights,
just like such a well-oiled machine. Yeah, just like the completely well-oiled operation. From like start to finish and like from top to bottom. Yeah, it was really really cool. It was it was a nice day out. Yeah,
where was it like held?
O2 Arena.
So is it like, are you fully like circling all the way around it?
Yeah, so the ring's in the middle, and then like everyone's all around it. Yeah. It was great, and it was great visibility as well.
Yeah, such a loud crowd as well. Obviously, we had to be part of it, but yeah, man, so funny. There were definitely some funny people around us, weren't there?
Yeah, like how a bit like when we went to watch Opeth through, and there's just that funny like poo your pants chant.
Yeah.
Like how like I swear the British are just like hilarious. We're like the best nation when it comes to funny chants, aren't we? So there was just like some hilarious chants that were just like breaking out, like at some points, and it was really funny. And we were just fully embracing it and chanting as well. It was great. It was great.
There was a lot of people that were hilariously taking it really seriously as well.
Yeah, that was like made it even better.
The dichotomy of it.
That made it even funnier.
Like
yeah, there was like this like mental girl behind us, and there was this bit where it was showing like this backstage segment. One of the biggest female wrestlers at the moment is called Liv Morgan, and one of these girls behind us. Let me think how I should say this because it's quite rude. I don't honestly like. She was right. I'm going to say it because it's a late night show. This is a late night show, but this is a warning, right? If you are sensitive, don't listen for the next 10 to 15 seconds of the show. Okay, I've warned you. Right, so don't make a complaint against me. Right, yeah, just let's go. I just suddenly went, Liv Morgan, you fucking slut. but like really angrily. And I just looked at Bullwinkle and I was like, what the hell?
She don't like her.
She said it like so. And I was just like, whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. There were definitely people that were like getting really offended, weren't they? We were laughing before because we were saying it's funny when you see the heels come out and cut a promo, and then the TV will like, cut to someone in the crowd. Like we would have been sat there probably smiling or laughing, being like, "This is hilarious," but then it would cut to someone who'd be like,
"Yeah."
Like,
well, there was that bit
fuming.
where there was this bit where there was this guy. This like heel at the moment, this bad guy called Gunther, and he's a great bad guy. He's Austrian, and he's got this whole like I'm this like ruthless Austrian sort of thing going for him. And he was like doing this brutal beatdown on this guy called Jimmy Uso. And like, do you remember Bullwinkle for a split second, just like on like the big screen, just suddenly cuts to this guy and rings on. He was like, it's like so funny, man. He was such a mark.
So good.
He was such a mark, man. It was like so good. And there was this little kid, wasn't there, as well, like sat to the left of us, you could tell as well. Like, he was just like fully immersed, fully into it.
Having the time of his life.
Yeah, you could tell he was like a big Cena fan and that. I think there was a couple of times where like I was like dissing up Cena and I could see him looking at me like looking really sad.
So was
looking really sad.
Were they all out? Did they all come out like Cena and stuff like that?
Yeah, there was like a great big there was like a massive John Cena. Like, I mean, it was just an episode of WWE Raw. So if people don't follow wrestling, like there's the weekly shows are Raw and SmackDown, and obviously they travel around primarily just North America, and every single week there'll be a different WWE Raw in a different arena. But sometimes they do travel internationally, and they're on an international tour. So they were in London, in the O2 London. So it was just an episode of Raw. But obviously, Raw being Raw, like they have basically a roster. So like pretty much everybody on the roster, well not everybody, do you know what I mean? Like all the main people on the roster came out. Whether that's like the current champion Cody Rhodes and John Cena, and the current like best female stars like Rhea Ripley and Io Sky and people like that. And
I reckon one of the best Raws of the year, man. We went to a good one.
It was good.
To a good one. CM Punk came out at the end and sang Queen.
Yeah, Bullwinkle loved that, didn't you? Because you just love CM Punk, don't you?
Yeah, man. I'm a little bit of a fanboy.
I have to say that was quite cool. Yeah, he like came out and he had like a match, and then at the end he was like just cut like a little promo, and then he basically like, gauged everyone's reaction and stuff. He was like, "Do you like the Beatles?" And then everyone like some people were like, "Yeah," and some people were like, "And then he was like, "Do you like Pink Floyd?" And it was a bit like similar. And he was like, Oasis, and it was like similar. And then he was like, right, well, he was like, I'm going to pick a band that everybody loves. And in my head, I was thinking, what band does everybody love? That's quite a bold statement to make. And then suddenly it was like Fat Bottom Girls by Queen started playing, and then he was like, yeah, everyone sing along. And that was actually really cool. What a great way to end the show. Like, everyone was just on their feet, and it's like,
good.
Oh, you gotta let it all hang out, Fat Bottom Girls, you make the rockin' world go round. And obviously in like the stadium, like speaks and everything, it's like down, and you know, just like with the Queen music and that. So that was a real cool, like, fun way just to end the show.
Oh, nice.
So feel good, man.
Were there
So feel good.
refreshments?
It was good. There was, well, I had quite a few coffees like during this whole sort of thing of the day, and
We've only got a Brazilian barbecue.
oh man, yeah,
Hell yeah.
man, we found this because we were originally going to go to Nando's in the O2 before we went into wrestling, but the queue was going back, man, probably about like 30 people. And I was like, man, it's going to take us probably an hour from now to be seated, or 45 minutes, whatever. It's like, screw that, man, you know. Anyway, we were walking around, and I just found this Brazilian, and there was like hardly anyone in there, you know. Probably like I don't know, like 150 person capacity, and they're probably like
4 tables, something like that.
Yeah, probably like 4 tables with actually people eating in there. And way better food, you know. So and it's one of those ones. You know, you've been to a Brazilian before. Did you ever go to that one that was in town? Back in the noughties.
Yeah,
yeah. So
I've heard.
They give you like a little.
Went once to the one in town, but
Right. So they give you a little like a little token, if you want to call it that. And on one side it's green, and on one side it's red. If it's green, it means that you want them to keep coming up and giving you food. And if obviously it's red, you've had enough. And then they have a buffet table in the middle of the room, which has like pasta, rice, salad, couscous, all this different stuff, right? All this amazing different stuff, different types of bread, everything you'd want, right? Different types of potatoes. And then, so you get what you want from the buffet, all you can eat as well, so as much as you can eat, right? And then they just keep coming around with all these different delicious cuts of meat, man. So I'm talking like delicious beef steaks, and they'll just like finally slice off these delicious steaks for you. Spicy sausage, chicken thighs, pork tenderloin, chicken wings, like lamb chops, lamb steak, and man, it was insane. It was so good. It was like the perfect thing to have. You know, obviously by that point we'd like travelled to London, which that was a few hours. Hadn't really eaten anything like big that day.
That sounds way better than Nando's, man.
And then, oh man, it was so good. It was so good.
It's incredible, man.
And then it was like quite funny. There was quite a couple just like funny bits during the night. Like there was like this like massive the escalator going up, because where we were like in the rafters more, which was actually really good because we were like in the rafters but like really close to the front, so we had this like really good almost like bird's eye view of the ring, and it wasn't that far away. But yeah, as a result we had to like go obviously up the stairs like in the O2, but there was an escalator next to it, but then there was the stairs, and everyone's so freaking lazy in there, man. The escalator was like so cram packed, and I'm sure all these people just like on the escalator, and I was like, screw that, let's just go up the stairs. And then obviously I was just like, race you. So like sprinted to the top of the stairs and like got to the top, and I just turned around and got to the top and Bullwinkle. That was quite funny.
They got me, man. They got
all
me.
the way back down. Hopefully.
Yeah, it was quite fun. No. just like a little trip right at the top, wasn't it?
I think it was probably the last step as well. I made it so far, man.
Man, it was good. It like contributed to the night, you know. I mean, to be fair, I tripped a little bit walking back in the
Yeah, we got you back, man.
It happens to all of us. But yeah, that was funny, wasn't it?
Proper late one, though. We got back at like 6 a.m.
Maybe we got back to Bridgewater at 6 a.m. Yeah,
that's like gig night.
Yeah, because we caught the coach, because I was originally going to drive, but then I checked it out last week, at the end of last week, and there was no parking after the O2. And then I was like, at first I was like, oh, I'm going to have to try and find a car park nearby. But it was hard to find a car park nearby, and then I found one, and it wasn't even that nearby, and it was like the price for the frickin' ticket. It was like something like 70 quid.
It's crazy, man.
To like park there for like to park there for like to park there for something like 6 hours or something.
Insane.
And I was like, do you know what? Screw that. And then you got to bear in mind as well, because of my car, because I got a big diesel, I'd have had the ULEZ charge as well. On top of that, And I was like, do you know what? Screw that. So I started looking at options. At the time, I just happened to be talking to my brother, and he was like, man, just get the coach. And then, so I got the coach. Well, we got the coach. So, we got the coach up. Our coach didn't leave London until 1, but it was late. So
we had to evacuate as well at one point.
Yeah, we had to Londonate Victoria coach station, which was a bit strange. But yeah, our coach came late, and then it was like an over 3-hour coach journey back to Bristol, because I drove up to Bristol and then parked at Bristol, and then we got the coach from Bristol.
Okay, yeah.
But then my brother picked us up from the station and then took us back to his, and even that was about like 20-25 minutes in the car. And then it just so happened that he was going on holiday, so he was like, oh, because I picked you up and everything like that, would you take me to the airport? I was like, yeah, sure, no worries. So then obviously then drove him to Bristol Airport and then drove home. By the time I dropped, I think it was about 6.
All night.
The sun was, you could just see the sun
was rising, man.
Yeah. It's a long old day. Great, real fun day, but it was a long day, It was a long day. So yeah, really tired yesterday. Really freaking tired yesterday. Literally was falling asleep, and then Em's alarm went off to get up for the day, I was crazy.
I'm feeling a bit spacey today. Ruben woke up at I think it was 4. And I just he'd been up so much last night, and I put him back to sleep at 4, just rocked him to sleep and that, and then I was just wired then. You know when you just can't get back to sleep, and that really annoyed me. So that was 4. So really I lied there for about an hour, maybe longer than an hour, and then I just got up and made a coffee and just do you know what I mean? So I've just been up since 4. So it's a bit
Man, that's so annoying,
when those
man.
happen.
You're gonna have to try and squeeze in a half-hour nap or something if you can.
Yeah, baby life.
Man, yeah, it's brutal, isn't it? But yeah, definitely recommend going and watch wrestling anyway. Anybody that's maybe ever thought about it. I was saying to Bullwinkle, I can't believe I've been a fan of wrestling for so long and I've never been to see a WWE event.
I thought
it was really good.
America.
Pretty bucket list.
Yeah, no, it was really good, man. It was really, really cool. It's pretty good. Have you ever heard of, there's a term called Lazarus species? The term Lazarus species just basically means if you're a Lazarus species, it's something that's thought to have been extinct, but then it turns out it's not extinct.
Ooh, like risen from the dead. That's cool.
Which is pretty cool, isn't it? Nice little bit of happy news. What people thought was an extinct species of blind mole rat has been discovered in Croatia. Yeah, a species thought that to have gone extinct since 1984 has been found.
Whoa.
The Vojvodina blind mole rat, a fully blind underground dwelling rodent. And it was really funny, actually. It was, the reason it was rediscovered because it was caught stealing vegetables from a local garden. The cheeky little monkey. They think that there's only about 20 individuals of them left, though, in Croatia.
Whoa.
But that's pretty cool, isn't it? That people actually thought they were completely extinct and they've just been found again. Long live. Long live the mole rat.
Do you know what I was thinking about the other day with this whole bringing back animals and bringing back the woolly mammoth and the Tasmanian tiger and stuff?
Yeah.
How many of them are they going to have to bring back to restart the species? And on top of that, how do you avoid the incest problem?
Yeah, I think that's obviously that's a really, really good question. Do you know, it's one I definitely have looked into this in the past, but then off the top of my head can't remember exactly why that is. I think it's I know that that's not an issue though. Do you know what I mean? I can't remember for what reason. I know that basically obviously they've taken that into account. And that is there's a way that they can do it. I don't know exactly how they can do it to stop inbreeding. But
it's almost really strange because do they bring back one? Do they have the DNA of one particular Tasmanian tiger, or do they have loads? And if they do, it's almost a bit creepy that they're essentially cloning all of these individual Tasmanian tigers that have already lived. Yeah, and then they're going to be here's another chance.
Or I don't know if they're manipulating the DNA.
Yeah, sure.
In them so that they're different enough that it won't cause genetic defects. Because you've got to bear in mind that they're altering the DNA of them anyway. Because what they're doing is, so the closest, say with the mammoth, the closest living relative is the Indian elephant, not the African elephant, the Indian elephant. And what they're doing with the egg of the Indian elephant, what they're doing is they are taking almost the embryo and then they're tweaking the DNA sequence of the egg of the Indian elephant and basically unlocking the DNA sequences to make it like a mammoth, essentially, you know? So it's almost like it's got the mammoth genome in its own coding, so they're tweaking the coding and they're turning off the modern Indian elephant ones and they're turning back on the mammoth ones.
Crazy.
So I don't know if it's like something a bit like that, Joe, where they could just tweak a couple of genomes and it'd be like, okay, well this is still a mammoth, but it's not identical anymore. So there's not it takes away the inbreeding problem, you know.
It's interesting. You almost think we speak before about like how DNA and genes almost have like this memory, or we've hypothesized that maybe it does. You know, maybe you inherit the memories of your ancestors. So it's a little bit creepy that like if we're messing around with all these genes and all this DNA of these animals, you can almost imagine. Like, I don't think this would be the case because I don't think they probably have that level of sentience to really think about it. But you could almost imagine these animals just feeling a little bit weird and a little bit off and being like, I'm missing something, but I don't know what, you know?
Do you reckon?
Imagine
maybe. What? So you reckon when they bring back mammoths?
Imagine bringing back like a Neanderthal or something. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
That'd be so cool.
That'd be cool. I reckon in theory, like a Homo erectus or something. Yeah, yeah. I reckon in theory that you could do that
if you can.
Because I mean, they say that like most Europeans have up to 4% Neanderthal DNA. So, I mean, surely the same way that the Indian elephant has like the mammoth coding, we would have like Neanderthal coding. Just tweak a female human embryo to be a Neanderthal. But I guess the thing is as well, because they're trying to do it obviously as economically and ethically as possible, they're only bringing back animals that they think could have a benefit to the earth. Yeah. So they think that like mammoths are going to be like hugely beneficial to say like put in certain parts of the planet, and will really like positively affect the environment and stuff like that. Whereas, and I think a similar thing for the thylacine in Australia as well. They think it will have a really positive impact on the ecosystem. Whereas I think it's like if we brought around Neanderthals, like, what would we do with them? Do you know what I mean? Like, where would they go? Well,
I think ethically that would be
quite
an
an interesting
more like a grey area as well, because you know they're saying that they could be like intelligent like us and stuff, like maybe different, but
they had bigger brains. They had I mean, I'm not saying that they were necessarily more intelligent, but their brains were bigger. Isn't that amazing? Those are bigger brains than us. I think, from what I remember, I don't think that they were like quite as social. I think that's one of the reasons why we ended up persevering more than them. Like human, even back in those days when like Neanderthals and Homo sapiens had been coexisting, I think the average Homo sapiens settlement would have had between like 20 to 30 people. Whereas I think Neanderthals lived in much smaller units of maybe like 5 to 7.
I remember seeing this thing about like the way they dealt with like pain and stuff as well. Like that they would just like break their fingers and that, but just like carry on without even like you know like not.
Man, they were really tough. You know, we were talking earlier on about like super dense bones. They had really dense bones. Apparently, their bones were like far denser than ours, so like they were far less likely to break bones and stuff like that. And they were also like very, very stocky and muscular. They had like really thick bones, and I think they would have had like really thick tendons and muscles attached to them. So they would have been like, you know, super strong with super thick, dense bones, but also being still really, really intelligent.
They seem very advantageous in some ways, don't they?
Something like that.
Do you know what? I don't know if you would actually give it too much thought. Well, I reckon if you took a Neanderthal and you groomed it the same way you groomed a modern human and you put him in some clothes, I reckon you'd think strange looking fella, and I reckon you wouldn't think much more than that.
They don't look that different. They almost look a bit like Aboriginal or like Native American like esque as well.
But apart from the fact they're white, yeah, I know what you mean, like big noses and big lips and stuff like that. But obviously white, yeah. Yeah, I genuinely think that you might give him a bit of a second glance, maybe a bit like, cool, he's a bit of an interesting looking guy. But I don't reckon you think of it any more than that. Because I mean, at the end of the day, even amongst Homo sapiens, as you said, like Aborigines, they're Homo sapiens, you know. And think about just how many different types of humans you see anyway.
Yeah.
Like not even just with like skin color. I think you've got like the Samoans, you've got the Pacific Islanders, like Tongans, Samoans, and that. You've obviously got like black people, like African people. You've then got like Asian people. Even in Asia, do you know what I mean? There's different types. Whether it's Indian people, Chinese people, Korean people, Japanese. There's all differences how they look. You know. And then obviously you've got like white people, and even amongst white people, you know, like Slavic people tend to look a little bit different than Germanic people, like a little bit, not all the time. But there's like, in general, there's like certain characteristics, aren't there, that you would attribute more with, say, like a Slav than you would, say, with a Germanic person. And then obviously you've got the Latin countries, you know, more like Spain and, you know, Romania, Italy, which people like that have their own sort of look to it as well. You know, it's like you look at an Italian person. Don't get me wrong, some Italian people look exactly like English people, but a lot of them have a look where you're like, well, you know, we saw that guy on the train the other day, and I was like, he's a right Guido. Yeah, like, you can just tell they've got, even if they're not Italian, you can tell they've got a lot of Italian blood in them. You know, just got that look about them. You know, like olive skin, dark hair, brown eyes. You know. Hey!
What's happening here?
Man, look at
You talking to me?
Look at this photo I've just sent you.
What on that? On WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Let's check it out. Yeah, see? If that's a Neanderthal, I mean, yeah, again, I think that you might be like, oh, he's a funny photo. But do you know what I mean? Like, imagine him with a modern day haircut.
Picture, the actual full picture is like someone taking a photograph of him as well. Like,
do you know what I instantly thought? Like, you know when you like walk into like a public sauna, you just like see someone like that, and you end up just chatting to him random. You know, you just randomly just like chat to him a little bit about your life.
Yeah, and they
you know?
look at you enthusiastically with their hand on their chin like that, just like, yes, I know what you mean.
It's always funny when you do stuff like that for like 5-10 minutes. Like that, whoever that person is, they're just like your best mate, and you just never see him again. You know? But that's what that reminds me of. You know?
One of those thoughtful conversations.
So yeah, I mean, imagine him. Yeah, then imagine him like, as I said, fully groomed, but with just like normal clothes on, just like normal modern day clothes. I reckon you wouldn't. I reckon you wouldn't think anything about it.
Yeah.
You know, you just be like, oh, that's a pretty freaking stocky guy. Pretty stocky guy. Got a bit of an interesting face, but you know, not going to judge.
No, you might not even notice. Or I think you would just be so in your own world, you wouldn't even.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, I don't reckon you would, man. I genuinely don't reckon you would.
Because there was the old. There was lots of crossbreeding, wasn't there?
Yeah. Yeah, we do know for a fact that like Homo sapiens and Neanderthals like did crossbreed, and we obviously, and that's why Europeans have up to 4% Neanderthal DNA.
I wonder if it was one way,
you know?
or like whether it was like Neanderthal males and
I
both.
reckon it was both. I reckon it was both. Yeah,
you got some Neanderthals.
Yeah, because I don't know. There might have been like more likely maybe for it to be more one way than the others. I reckon maybe more likely for it to be like a male Neanderthal and a female woman. In my head, that's what I'm going with, because I think characteristics, especially characteristics that back in those days would have be seen as attractive. I think
more sapien.
I think that women that maybe like see Homo sapien women maybe would have found were more likely to find maybe Neanderthal men more attractive than the other way around.
There's nothing much more beautiful in existence.
But
Are we? Sorry, actually, no, continue.
No, go on, what were you going to say?
This is going to be completely sort of off topic, but it almost the thought popped into my head.
Right.
Are chimps closer to us than they are to gorillas?
I think so, yeah.
That's mental.
Yeah,
Do you reckon they look at us a little bit like we're their like closest ancestor? Like closest species?
That's the mystery, isn't it? It's impossible to say, but I think they know that we're really similar to them. That's why they know where to target our stuff. That's why when they attack us, they know to go for our balls and our faces.
And there was always
because they know that's what we are.
Man as well.
Oh, yeah, man, get frisky. But I think with that one, it's almost like, isn't that mad? It's almost like, you know, when you're like a teenager and you're like in heat, like a teenage man, and like you see like like some certain female features maybe, and it just sends you into heat, and you get a bit like you're sweating, and you just almost like, oh man, you go into heat a bit. That seems to have been like what happened to that orangutan, because they warned them, didn't they? They were basically like, look, if you show off your like long red hair, like this orangutan is going to go into full mating mode. It's almost like the orangutan didn't have a choice. It's just like that set off some mating instinct in him, and he just went mating mode.
It's crazy that that's like enough for the orangutan to almost be like, yeah, that's me. You know, like
that's my new bride.
Yeah.
That's my new lady.
It's
insane.
He's bad.
Yeah. Oh my god. Do 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 do. That's just what was playing in this. Yeah. Just Barry White starts going on in his head. But yeah, no, it's an interesting concept, isn't it?
Crazy.
Yeah. I wonder what chimps do think when they see
I wonder
us.
if they saw like a really hairy guy with his shirt off, they would be like, "That's me." You know, whether they would almost think that's the same.
I think though, we are too anatomically different. The way we walk, even when they walk upright, they sort of, walk like a bit, like. Whereas we walk like we're so used to walking upright, we walk differently, don't we? And also, over the millennia, our legs have like grown longer than our arms, at least in most people's cases, where their arms are still longer than their legs. So it's quite interesting proportions, isn't it? Yeah. I reckon they probably find us really trippy. Don't you reckon? Yeah. I reckon chimps find us super trippy.
Yeah, I mean, we have fun like discussing all the different animals on the pod.
Yeah.
But if you were to like actually describe to an animal what a human is, that's like the most crazy thing of all.
Oh yeah, I bet the animals that are sentient enough to think about us, like whales and dolphins, and maybe like chimps and that, I bet they find us so spinny. Because I always think like imagine like like a normal thing that literally humans have been doing for like hundreds of thousands of years, like fishing. I always think, imagine if a fish, fish, like obviously ignoring the fact that whether they can or not. Let's just say for argument's sake that a fish could communicate with another fish. We talk about like alien abductions. That's what fishing must be like to fish.
Yeah.
Right. The idea that like like a fish, right? It has very limited understanding of the universe, right? It doesn't really know anything about what's out of the water. So this is an unknown universe. It's the same way that space is to us, right? So if you're a fish, you're swimming around and like to you, the entire universe is just the water, right? And then you just see a bit of food. Oh yeah, I'm gonna bite that food. Unbeknownst to you, there's a hook in it. Next thing you know, where am I going? Where am I going? Getting reeled up. Yeah, getting reeled up. Yeah, essentially. And then the next thing you know, you're just out of the water, and there's this giant creature like looking over you.
That'd be sketchy.
Like doing stuff to you, like getting the hook out. Yeah, and you're like on this boat somewhere, and there's these giant creatures like around you, and they're just like manhandling you, and then finally just like chuck you back in or whatever, and then you go back, and they're like, "Oh, Barry, where have you been?" It's like, mate, you're never going to guess what happened to me. Like, what? I just got taken up past the water. And there was this giant creature that was just like manhandling me. And they were like, no, you didn't. Stop making stuff up. Stop making stuff up, Barry. You're full of it. We all know there's nothing above the water. We all know there's nothing above the water. What are you on about, It must be like alien abduction, man.
Mate, like, to think, if you think now that bears, for example, right, can appreciate scenery and think that's beautiful and like enjoy a nice view, or like even more so, like a dog. If you tell a dog off later on when it's like going to sleep, it will sit there and ponder it and be like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And be a bit sad. And they're not even animals that we know have the most sentience. Those are things like octopus and dolphins and stuff. So who's to say that they wouldn't think like that,
Man, I know. And it's one of the things that humans have least understood. It's like how much thought processes do animals have. But I do know that the more that time goes on, and the more that like zoologists are doing like research, more accurate research on like, brain activity in animals, it seems that almost like across the board, like pretty much every single animal has more in-depth thought processes than we would have thought they did like even 10 years ago, which I think is amazing. So like even, like garden birds, we know they communicate with each other. Like they're not just like in their heads randomly making noises. Like their sounds are communication. Like most animals have forms of communication. That in itself sort of shows a level of sentience, doesn't it? The ability to communicate with like your own species and maybe even with other types of species as well.
It's mad. Like crazy. A lot of animals like make nests and things and use their surroundings, like beavers. Make dams and they use their surroundings, but like. none as near as the animal of the human. You know, like I'm just looking at my background and just like can't see a bit of nature. It's just all like tools, like man-made things and stuff. You know, and that must be spinny because all of that is so different as well. If you had us like naked just in a forest, it would be like we'd be more on a level with them, but it's like so different, the fact of like a hoodie and a t-shirt and someone else is wearing a full suit and like, do you know what I mean? It's like, what are these things, like, you know?
Yeah, it is very, very strange, isn't it? The only the closest other thing to that in the animal kingdom is, say, like hermit crabs. That, do you know what I mean? They take random shells and like things like that to like wear it almost like a home or almost like as like armor or something, but there's not really many species that do that.
They just have what they have, and then they eat, and they you know they just have everything they need on their body.
That's probably why we arguably why we look so much different than the other great apes. You know, because obviously originally, if our bodies were more like theirs, obviously it would have still been like freezing cold when it was freezing cold. So you could see why once we had the ability to say like, all right, well, we've just killed this bison for meat. Rather than just like leaving this hide here, what if we just wrap it around ourselves? Oh, actually, yeah, this is keeping me way warmer. Let's just start doing this. And you can see why that would have started becoming commonplace. But then in the process, I guess we lost more and more body hair and started looking more different than the other ape species to the point where now, you know, we only grow like abundance of hair in like several places. But I know it's a real mystery, and I don't think anthropologists understand this fully. Like one thing that's strange is, you know, you don't see like gorillas and chimpanzees and orangutans with like great big beards like us.
This is a strange
But with
one.
human men, we just have the ability to grow this like massive beards. And they think that like it's one of those things, you know, it's like peacocks. You know how it's like peacocks have their feathers? It's almost like we've evolved, but we don't really know why it's just humans. So almost like a beard is almost like a symbol, like almost like to a woman that like, you know, like I am ready to mate. And I've got this big beard that shows I'm
got a stronger chin.
Yeah, and it shows almost that like you're of age, because a boy can't grow a beard. You know, a boy can't. You don't want to mate with a boy; he's not ready. But if you've got a beard, it's almost like a signal to women, like I'm ready to mate now. You know, you know, it's like when you see like in adolescent seagulls, they're not white and grey yet, are they? They've got that sort of like beigey, darky, browny patterns. It's like that's a symbol, isn't it? It's a symbol that they're still adolescent. So it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting that we've evolved our own separate certain things. And also the fact that like you don't see chimps and orangutans and gorillas with like really, really long hair. But if you just didn't cut your hair, your hair would be like down to your freaking ass.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's almost like there's no difference between the hair on their head and the hair on their body.
Yeah, exactly. But with us, there's a vast difference. Yeah. You know, like on a lot of parts of your body, you're like essentially naked. And then other parts of your head, parts of your body, you've just got like, an insane amount of hair.
Do they have like eyebrows?
I'm not sure.
Because what would be the purpose of like an eyebrow?
I heard.
You know?
I think it's to keep germs and stuff out of your eyes. Like you know where you like sweat and stuff. It's almost like
Mate, how intelligent.
Yeah, and the same with eyelashes. You know, it's like if you shut your eyes, it's almost like filtering out dust and dirt from your eyes and stuff like that. Same with obviously like nose hairs. I don't know why I was almost like showing my nose.
Ear hairs. Same
with nose hairs. Yeah, and ear hairs. Yeah.
If you could ask any animal a question, what animal and what question?
I think that's a really hard question to answer like on the spot. I think it's one that I'd want to be a bit more prepped for.
I'd like to know why certain animals like don't like each other. You know, like for example, my dog hates cats. You know, it sees a cat on the other side of the road and it will go mental and it will start like barking. Not because of like an experience of a cat. It just would, like from when it's born, it would have been like that. Yet when it sees a dog, there's no such reaction. It just sort of looks at them. It's like, I know what that is.
I have like a theory, but it's just a pure theory. I think it might be a very ancient thing inside the dog. Old dogs, obviously, we bred dogs obviously from wolves, and if you go back far enough, pretty much all wolf species would have had to have compete against large cat species, which not only would have competed with them, but would have actually probably been scary for the wolves. Obviously, wolves are pack animals. If you go back to whether it's like North America or ancient Europe, there would have been wolves and large bears and large cats all cohabiting spaces, and they would have been, you know, the top predators in the space. But the large cats would have been more solitary animals, like large, there were large, cave lions and other types of lion species that would have been competing literally in Europe and North America with wolves. And I think, and also bears, as I said, and I think that it probably would have been fairly common for large lions and other large felids, other large cat species, not just lions, but other ones as well, to either steal prey from wolves or maybe even... Because large cats are killing machines, aren't they? They'll kill her.
Yeah,
you see they kill all sorts of things in Africa and stuff. And tigers will kill pretty much whatever they want in India as well, right? And Siberia. Siberian tigers even kill bears and stuff like that. And lions sometimes kill, quite often kill hyenas. Don't get me wrong, hyenas try and kill lions as well. But my point is, it's like, I think that lions, like big cats, would have sometimes killed wolves. And I also think that big cats would have stolen prey from wolves. And I think that maybe something very, very deep in the back of dogs' brains. I don't think it's like a thing like, well, it is, but I don't think they realise they're doing it. Yeah. I don't think it's like dogs are bullying cats. If anything, I think in the dog's head, it's the opposite. I think dogs are scared of cats and they respect how good of a predator is. They are just not quite intelligent enough to realise, to have the sense that this little cat actually isn't like a threat the same way that an ancient lion or an ancient cheetah or an ancient leopard was. And they don't realise that they're much bigger than it. And they're just saying, like, this is, oh my God, is this thing going to attack me? Is it going to try and steal my food? Is it going to be a danger to my family? Quickly, like, bark at it and get it off. Because I expect that's what the only thing that wolves probably could have done back in ancient Europe and America would be to, like, okay, let's get the wolf pack and let's all just try and bark at the cat and try and scare it off.
Do you know what I find the most crazy about that, though?
What?
Is that, like, I believe very well that could be the case. But it's the fact that genetic memory is so strong that it's not even just a sense to this dog of, like, oh, I don't like that, but I don't know why. Like, it's not even a sense of uncomfortability or, like, it's full on, this is war.
Yeah.
Like, how crazy is that?
I would say it's no different. It's no different than why so many humans, and as I said, not all, but so many humans, even in countries like the UK, where there's next to no threat, still have arachnophobia.
That's a good point.
And massive phobia of...
Great point.
And snakes, I was going to say, and massive phobia of snakes. Like, you're not going to die of a snake bite or a spider bite in the UK. You're just not going to, right? But so many people, we all know people ourselves. Yeah. Every single person listening to this show, every person in the UK knows several people that are terrified of spiders and snakes. And it's because we have this thing deep in our brains from back when we were hunter-gatherers, when we were first evolving, of our ancestors in places like Africa, where they do have black mambas and, other types of extremely venomous snakes. You do have spiders that can bite you and kill you. And that is ingrained in us so much that you can see a harmless little spider in the UK, but like, and you're like terrified of it. And it's silly because it doesn't make sense. But I think, and that's with us, and we're fully sentient, and we're even aware. We can even like assess that and be aware of it, but it doesn't stop it. People are still going to scared of it because that's the thing with like something like a phobia or something like that. You can't. It's not rational. Being aware of it doesn't make it go away, does it? It's still there, and I think it's the same with things like dogs and cats. That
ties back so well to like what I was saying earlier about the like Tasmanian tiger and genetic memory and stuff. Like, how weird is it that they're this genetic memory that we all have that is coursing through our blood and our DNA that actually impacts the choices we make and the decisions and how we'll react to things. The fact that theirs is almost going to be manufactured by us a little bit. That's so strange, isn't it?
Oh, it's mad, yeah.
Did you see you see the thing with when you were saying about like back when wolves and big cats and bears were like cohabiting hunting grounds? The grey wolf and the brown bear. Did you like there was this like story, and there was a photographer caught like the relationship of a brown bear and a grey wolf that were like together hunting, and they were like, and it was real cool, and they were like kind of being affectionate to each other as well, like chilling with each other and playing a bit and that, and then like hunting together and that. And I thought that was pretty crazy, like a weird, like, I think it was the first time that it was ever caught.
Yeah, almost like a symbiotic relationship. I'm pretty sure there's another one as well, and I think it was like a one-off thing, which is even weirder in a way, because you'll think, well, how did they like, decide the T's and C's of this? But I think there's also some footage of a large brown bear and a pack of wolves working together to take down. I can't remember if it was like a large moose or something. And I remember thinking like, that's interesting. It's almost like they decided, like, right, because usually they're wary of each other,
like the
and
brown
they're direct
bear will
competition.
come in, like when a wolves are like and that thing, and we'll like kind of be stalking it, and we'll come and scatter them all off so we can like take the carcass and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes even other ways. If it's a really big pack of wolves, sometimes they will try and be cheeky and steal it off a bear as well, you know? Almost like overwhelm it just by, like, you know, being too many at all different sides and maybe distract the bear, and then the other one will come in and, like, steal a leg or something. Do you know what I mean? And run off. The bear
was, like, I thought the bear would just, like, run in and just, like, and just kind of be like, but he was, like, quite cautious and was watching and waited for the wolves to, like, go off a little bit, and then just ran in and grabbed it and, like, ran off with it.
They have strength in numbers though, don't they? And I think some wolf packs are like 40 strong. So, you know, some of them are much smaller, some of them are only like 15, but some of them get massive. Like some of them get massive. I think it's really interesting as well. We're talking about like sentience and stuff and like animal behavior, like you know how some animals like display like extreme, you know, memory, like memory in itself. And to act on memories, to me, shows like quite a level of intelligence, doesn't it? And they say, obviously, for one, don't they? They say like memory of an elephant, like elephants don't forget anything. But you also see videos where, like, say, with people that have like looked after like chimpanzees or other animals when they were younger, and then you don't see them for like 10 years, and they see them and they're like,
lions,
and they like love the person. But they also say that like apparently tigers are like especially vengeful. So if you like to people that have ever, say, like, there are like people that have tried to hunt tigers before and been unsuccessful, and then there are literally documented cases where then that tiger has specifically hunted down that individual and like found them while they were asleep at night and like dragged them out of their bed and killed them. So there's literally the thought process of like, you tried to kill me and now I'm going to find you and kill you. He basically went full Liam Neeson in Taken. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. Because I think like we think that like an animal wouldn't have that level of in-depth, you know,
that sentience.
I think that's why it's really good as well, though, to be like kind to animals in general.
100%.
You know, like
that's that thing, and like when you get to connect with an animal on that level, that's it's a little bit more human, of like that, just like sharing that like affection and stuff, like. Because it's only normally with like dogs or cats or something. When I get a chance to do that with like a different animal, it blows my mind, because I just imagine them as like that spider monkey thing. And also, like, I saw a ferret the other day, held a ferret, and real liked it.
I remember you said about your ferret last week.
Head on the
ferret,
thing,
mate.
and just super cute, and just like this little weird intelligence. And when I see something so small showing kind of intelligence to you as like something so much bigger, like it's the same thing I had with a pet rat once as well, and it was just, I couldn't get that this pet rat was like playing with me. I was like, what the hell is going on here? It's so tiny, its brain is so small, like how is it understanding this? Like, you know, just like, it's weird.
I also think we have to really respect the amount of trust it's showing us, because imagine how sketchy it would be for you to be affectionate to an animal so much bigger, because you'd always be worried, like, is it going to snap and kill me? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it going to snap and like, or even like, not even like deliberate, like, is it just going to like roll over me and kill me? So the fact that like I always think that with my cats, like, just like, I'm so much bigger than them. The fact that they'll come and just like lie in my lap and just like full on belly up, like. Like, it's like, it's so like almost like a privilege to be trusted like that. They know that I'm not going to do anything to them.
I remember when
apart from cutie snuggles.
I remember when we saved this little duck as well, this little duckling, and it was like the
making up for the time you killed one.
Oh yeah, I never really thought about that, but it literally must have been. But I remember, because
imagine if it was the soul. Had the same soul. It's the reincarnation, mate.
Yeah, it was on the docks, and the little duckling. I don't know if it was from a different like quack of ducks, but it was a
quack of ducks.
But the mother rejected it, and we could see it happening. So it was trying to follow the other siblings and stuff, and the mother just like rejected it and was like trying to like bite it, and that it mustn't have been hers or something.
It was the runt of the litter.
And,
I reckon it was just the runt. It happens sometimes, doesn't it?
I went down the ladder of the docks, and just like, because that was the only way to get to that bit, and I literally held my hand out in the water, and this duckling came over and just went into my hand, and then just completely trusted me. And I would sit there in the living room, and it would run, and it would like go into my neck, and it would trying to go into like my little neck creases and that, and it was just like fully asleep in my neck crease, and I'm like, how I'm so much bigger than this little thing, and I could literally just go and just like crush it.
Man, it knew that was your only chance to live.
So weird, this like, and that's something that is so not even a mammal, you know.
Yeah, it knew that it was like rejected by its mum, and it was like, right,
this thing is
this
showing
is my
me,
family now. If I don't,
it's giving me food.
Yeah, because it's a bit like a newborn infant human. I mean, even though they're a lot more competent than like a newborn human, at the same time, still not ready to fend for itself. So still couldn't have got food and stuff. And it knew that, almost like not like necessarily sentiently and like consciously, but I think it subconsciously knew that. And it was like, okay, this creature's gonna like look after me. And then because of you, now hopefully it's like even still alive to this day.
Yeah, we took it to the little animal centre. That's that's
Secret
it,
World, isn't it?
And
yeah.
Hopefully, it lived a long duck life.
Yeah, man. Hopefully it's out there somewhere quacking. Anyway, we're going to have to leave it there, guys. Thanks for listening to another Pandora's Box with us. We'll be back at the same time next week. If you don't already, please give us a follow on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. Just type in Pandora's Box Podcast. We appreciate every single one of you that tunes in every single week. We love you. We'll be back again same time next week.
Ta-ta.
Laters, y'all.